Every country has its innovators, its dreamers, and New Zealand is no exception. At the bottom of the world, Kiwi John Britten set about building motorbikes in his garage and by hand, with the assistance of a few enthusiastic friends. In 1991, they took their bike to Daytona for the annual Battle of the Twins race, but finished second to world champion Doug Poland on a Ducati. Second place means second best to someone like John Britten. Still, he had a whole 12 months to build a new bike, return to Daytona, and win. The Britten story is one that dreams are made from. Described in one American magazine simply as a Renaissance man, John Britten has also been called one of the most innovative engineers working in the world today. The philosophy he follows is simple and involves working from first principles rather than developing the designs of others. Like the Wright brothers, Britten wasn't satisfied with what was available and believed that he could do better. His story may be a classic piece of motorcycle history in the making. With around $100 worth of wire and a keen eye, the Britten twin starts to materialize. However, at this stage, only John himself really knows how it's all going to shape up. It's still all in his head.
To make something like this, it's really a matter of making the right design decisions. Because you can spend the same length of time making a lemming as you can making something that works.
John first made something work as a 5-year-old when he started building go-karts from old packing cases at his father's work. By 13, he had discovered an old 1917 Indian Scout in a farm creek. He pulled it out and restored it, but it didn't stop there.
He found this old truck and pulled it out of a sort of semi in a sort of swampy area, and it was an old international truck, and he just rebuilt the whole thing. And it's in the Queenstown Motor Museum now, and all the tourists come along, and the old ladies, and they all want to be photographed next to it. It's really quite beautiful. He actually feels embarrassed about it now.
It sidetracked me, basically, and became a museum piece. The day I finished it, I think I drove it to the museum and promised I'd be more realistic in the future.
Fortunately, John wasn't more realistic, and with his usual blend of foresight and determination, he set about the conversion of an abandoned stables into an extraordinarily elegant home. Carved stone columns turned on a lathe fashioned from old bicycle wheels. Marble floors, salvaged from a demolished insurance office. Gracious, hand-built staircases. Unhappy with alternatives, John designed and cast his own door handles and bath taps. Then, with the help of a few friends, some of whom would later help him build motorcycles, he designed and built this stunning thermo-hydraulically operated conservatory, almost totally from recycled materials.
Yeah, I used to make lamps by day and work on the house by night. I was single, and I just worked 18 hours days for 7 days a week for all those years, but it was almost trying to prove, I think, in a way that you didn't need money, that, you know, skill or hard work or whatever, you know, we could, in some ways, replace it, you know. Instead of going out and making a fortune and building a flash house, you could actually struggle away with no money and build a nice house, you know, by being resourceful. The bike's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It's a high-quality product built on a shoestring.
Shoestring or not, John has always aimed high, and with a host of new design innovations in place, the countdown to Daytona has begun.
What slows down these bikes, see, Daytona's a very fast track, so it really shows them up. You know, no matter how much horsepower they've got, once they get to about 175, you can throw horsepower at the thing, it won't make any difference. I'm trying to get air. No one's ever really tried to overcome that problem the way I can see it in the fairing design up to this point. So I'm really trying to make a considered effort to overcome that problem, get air, an air supply into that low pressure area. So it's coming through that ducting there, through the radiator, cooling the engine, and then out into this low pressure area. The second bike had raced in America and done quite well, but sort of John came back a bit depressed about it all, because he sort of, I can remember him coming back and saying that there's no way that we can beat, you know, our works Ducati by building the same sort of bike as them, because you're always going to be second fiddle. You're never going to have the equipment and the sport and the backup, so you've got to do something quite radical and do something quite new.
On first testing the Britten engine in his university lab, Murray had been so impressed, he joined the team.
John rolled up with a motor to get dynoed, and his arm in a sling with a broken collarbone, and with it all wanted to be done yesterday sort of thing, so took pity on him. That was the mistake right at the beginning, really. Took pity on him and helped him. So there's a lot of people who build motors and go into universities and try and get them tested and that, and you get quite sceptical about it all, because they sort of all roll up with their engines and take them in there, and the first thing they do is blow up, create a pile of mess, and then they get wheeled out again sort of thing. So, but this one didn't do that.
We made the engine 3.5 years ago now, and it took about 2 weeks to draw it up, and it took me about 6 weeks to make do the pattern making for it. Core boxes were quite complicated to fill in the water cavities for the water inside the engine. This is a tricky bit. Oh, extra tricky because I forgot to put the bloody wires in. Try to keep my hair black.
John, being John, wasn't just happy enough with building a better motor. It was, we're going to build a new bike.
Thank you, guys. Well, the next step now is to cover all this and then take the moulds off for the fiberglass work.
8 months to Daytona, and for John, the lonely weeks of solitary work are now over.
If I've got any talent at all, it's probably I'm pretty good at visualising a finished product before it exists. I can visualise the motorbike pretty well detailed before it's built. And then I suppose my other forte is knowing the shortcuts. Generally speaking, I'm very good at cheating my way through something to keep the cost down. You've got to be very determined.
They are determined and talented. A team of friends and enthusiasts chasing a dream in a Kiwi backyard.
The bike started off as a very small project that John's always loved motorbikes, and in fact part of his showing of his undying love for me was that he sold his motorbike to come and bring me back from New York to persuade me. So I thought, well, if he's going to do that, he's going to be a really good husband. And he's really committed. But little did I know he had plans to build more of his own ones, not buying someone else's design. So he started off by using a local firm, Genco's engine and his own body, and then he moved and he realised he couldn't incorporate other people's designs. He needed to do everything.
Given his competition's almost unlimited resources, it's just as well that John can do everything and without a computer model in sight. Instead, he's relying on old-fashioned things like instinct, imagination, flair and hard work, coupled to an uncanny ability to pick up any tool or skill and make it work for him.
I came thinking, you know, we'll just bust a superbike or something and we wind tunnel testing and all this sort of nonsense, and I get in there and we're sort of discussing, well, you know, maybe not. I sort of like at Polytech would be doing diagrams of people, positions.
Oh no, handlebars.
I get here and it's, yeah, as you say, a set of leathers full of newspaper. Let's chuck it on. Oh yeah, the arm reaches. And yeah, that was really good. I learnt so much just in 6 weeks, yeah, as opposed to 4 years at Polytech.
Hey, this is a good game. Look, you can see the way the ear's going to go inside his legs. Here you are, Mike.
The work edges ahead, but with everyone holding a daytime job, there are no more free nights or weekends.
It's a matter of forcing yourself to do things. I think it's a matter of people knowing themselves and how hard they can push themselves, and working really long hours and pushing yourself to the limit.
Perhaps that's the Britten's secret weapon, the resource that money just can't buy.
He has a lot of people who just come and help. You know, in the middle of the night, he needs someone to help wind the carbon fibre, and you know, there's always a few people who, you know, who will come and help, and they're just fantastic. He couldn't have done it without his friends. He has an incredible capacity to work all day on making enough money to be able to work all night on the bike, you know, and do that and work till 2 or 3, 4 in the morning for months on end.
No, that's pretty easy.
I think that has something to do with the Kiwi attitude of you can do anything, and you can do it in your backyard. And I think that's a really special mentality and something that we ought to treasure in ourselves.
For years and years and years since in New Zealand's history, we've always had to either make something or fix the thing you've got. We've always been 12,000 miles away from any spare part. So the ability of Kiwis to manufacture and build things and keep things going and repair things has been a New Zealand tradition. And it's an extension of that of what John's doing. I don't believe he could build that motorcycle in Europe. Here in New Zealand, a couple of phone calls, or there's somebody that knows somebody that builds this or makes that and has developed that and can do things.
After 4 months of glue guns, wire, fiberglass, rasps and sanders, production has finally reached the first of many vital stages. The moulds for the final bodywork have been painstakingly prepared, but unlike conventional techniques, no anti-stick coatings have been used to ensure that they separate cleanly. Instead, John has substituted pure elbow grease, hour after hour of it. The moulds were first sanded, then polished repeatedly with Brasso, and finally burnished with 20 individual coatings of wax. If it works, they'll have a far superior surface. If not, much of the work will have to be done again. Last year, that's exactly what happened.
Right. Far out. Beautiful. Perfect. Well, it was worth it, wasn't it? 20 coats of wax.
You might be happy, boys. This represents like 4 months' work building these plugs. It's taken 4 months every night out here.
That 4 months has placed a huge strain on everyone. It seems building one-off race bikes can be depressing at times, especially if you're falling behind. For John, there's no alternative but to hire full-time help.
You reckon you're on schedule or not?
No. Badly out. Mainly this, I don't know why. I've employed a fitter and turner, and but he only just recently started, but like a week after he started, his wife had their first child, and the guy's just so maternal, you know. He's taken off 2 weeks to look after his wife and baby and stuff, which is great, you know, for him.
As a new dad, Rob Selby soon finds out that John's tireless efforts often don't fully consider family.
I'd make a part, and I'd be quite happy with it and be sitting on a bench. And when I come in the next day, there'd be a wee note attached to it. Too heavy, lighten these, please. John works on a calendar system which works, I mean, he will do a progress of calendar, how everything's going to slot in. Rob is going to do this, he's going to be finished here. Mike will be this, he'll be finished here. Jason's going to be here, and we're all going to tie in together at this point here. And that is worked out, I believe, on a 24-hour-a-day basis.
You could expect the heady world of international motorcycle design and racing to be a glamorous one. But for John, his team and their families, nothing could have been further from the truth.
We had a stage where I wasn't seeing him, and so what we did is I said, okay, well, you can go and work all night on the bike, that's fine, but you need to come home around 6 and be with me, with the children, until they go to sleep around 8.
In some ways it's been quite a convenient period to do it in, because, you know, Kirstine's been tired and the kids have gone to bed early and she's gone to bed early, and so everyone's been asleep. And I've gone back to work without inconveniencing the family.
There have been many pioneering Kiwi engineers and designers, particularly on the water. Not surprisingly, John's work with carbon fibre has drawn him to the attention of a company supplying high-tech resins for the America's Cup yachts.
When they sent me some, they'd never tried it. They said, oh, it's totally experimental, you know. Give it a try. I don't know what it was particularly designed for, but it was something to do with the America's Cup yachts. Pretty amazing. I reckon it's doing bloody well. Carbon fibre will take any amount of heat. Oh. Oh, interesting. Interesting concept. That's quite inflammable.
For a less stable team, John's full-on approach and love of experimentation could be hard to take.
Well, John's the frenetic approach and everyone else are the anchors, you see. And we're sitting back there trying to drag him back and slow down, slow down. but he leads by example, and so, he gets out there and, you know, drives everyone, and everyone's prepared to get stuck in and do it.
Stuck in or not, when you're working the hours that John is and going backwards, it's hard to keep your spirits up.
Oh, just so far behind here, it's really freaking out actually. Dangerously behind, so really. I was going to have it going by now. We might be testing at the beginning of November. On your nose. I don't know, it's not from lack of trying, I don't know what it is.
It's always more difficult than you think it's going to be. You have to be an optimist, otherwise you wouldn't try it in the first place.
When you are based in a small garage at the bottom of the world with the intention of beating a Works Ducati team, it probably pays to be an optimist. John certainly is. More than that, he's an innovator.
What I'm trying to achieve with this new bike, it's got a lot of new design logic in it.
John has basically developed a technique of construction that's pretty unique to the bike, and so we've looked, especially in terms of the front suspension, we sat down and looked at a variety of different front ends that would match the technology that we'd mastered in terms of carbon fibre construction techniques, and looked for the one that best fitted.
Basically most of the bike is held together with this carbon fibre yarn. When it's wetted out, it's half the size of string. Each filament will take 100 kilograms in load and 80 kilograms in compression, so it's very, very strong, and I just build up a shape. You know, this carbon fibre back suspension here, and you know, some of the engine components now are making carbon fibre, and It's a great material, you know. It's this bit of carbon. You know, you can go on bending this for weeks and never fracture.
Just as well, considering how expensive it is.
Well, it is if you're building a yacht and it's 80 foot long, but the surface area in something like this, you know, you can afford to use these expensive materials because you're really using very little of them. I would say that it would only be a matter of $200 or $300 worth of carbon fibre in this entire bike, counting the body, the suspension, and the engine components. I've only bought one roll of this, and I've built 3 motorbikes out of it. Still got a bit left.
John is a romantic with a passion for art. At times, engineering takes a distinct second place.
I'm trying to get this really high-powered paint job on this thing, so it's noticeable. I bought this for the bit of blowing glass, but I bought it for the finish, and I've showed it to my mate that does the painting. And he reckons he can get a similar finish.
We started off with this starfish glass and ended up with the bike and the colour scheme it is at the moment. So, you know, it's challenging. It's challenging. He went on a holiday somewhere, I think it was Australia or Bali or something like that, and he came back with this piece of glass shaped like a starfish, which was in shades of blue into violet, and he said to me, look at this, this is the way I want my bike painted next time. He always throws you a challenge.
Of course, Autocolour were also thrown a challenge, with the paint having to be specially formulated.
Here she goes. Our paint job's finally complete. What do you reckon, Colin? Bright enough for you?
With just 12 weeks to Daytona, Chief Mechanic Mike Brosnan can only look wistfully at the finished body. The team have pinned their hopes for the race on an even more powerful engine. Each part of it will have to be built by hand. The pressure will be enormous.
The entire bike is built by us, you know, and right down to the wheels, and so we've got to make an extraordinary amount of components. We've actually fundamentally not just built each part, but we've designed each part and built it, and so it's incredibly complicated. You know, I don't know how many parts are on it, but probably, you know, over 6,000 or 7,000 parts. The trouble is with racing, it's all, and all this high technology development, it's very much against, you're working against the clock.
Working against the clock has now become vital. Rob and John race to complete the engine while a test bike is being assembled to try the revolutionary new front end. Given the shambolic working conditions,
Very sophisticated.
the possibilities for disaster are huge. The margin, nil. It's handy that Kirstine is into pottery, particularly as she has a kiln in the garage that can be used to heat treat new parts.
I can't believe it. It's not believe it. Excuse me, get some more water from the swimming pool. I can't believe it, I fucked it up really bad. I've never done that before. Just wasn't enough water. Oh, hell. God almighty. Stuffing everything up.
Disaster averted. Just. And a crankcase that looks as though it might yet be ready to circulate on one of the fastest tracks in the world. Fast tracks are home to New Zealanders Paul Tracy and Mike Sinclair. They've spent most of the year working for world champion Wayne Rainey. But they stop off during their annual back-home holiday and lend their expertise to help set up the test bike's radical new front end. Months and months of work, and then suddenly, on a cold, miserable day, the bike the guys have named Dominatrix is finally at the track. Now it can finally be put to the ultimate test. Now theory gives way to reality. Expectations are high and initial indications look promising, but no one is quite prepared for what happens next.
We had quite a lot of confidence in it, but that was quickly shattered at a fairly early stage. The first time it went out, we had a major crash, and so, which was it was quite frightening really, scared the hell out of all of us.
It could hardly be worse. At comparatively low speed, the revolutionary carbon fibre front suspension has simply shattered, leaving Chris Haldane, the rider, injured and the team in despair. Daytona is less than 8 weeks away.
Oh, that was the worst experience. It was a devastating thing for me. I just about gave up. I had given up for 6 or 8 hours. I'd canned the whole project.
To put someone out there on a machine that you couldn't ride yourself, but you're quite prepared to put him out on it. He's the guinea pig, and then you send him down the track and break his collarbone, so it's quite a traumatic sort of experience to actually do something like that to someone that you know.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. But we were trying things that were just so avant-garde, so untried and so brave at the time.
But we were also on the fast track at the same time because we were heading to try and get this bike ready for Daytona, so the pressure was on to sort of come up with something that would succeed.
You know, we just it's about, you know, climbed back on the horse and kept on going, really. We felt, well, we'd come so far. And within a few weeks we had made a slightly safer version of what we'd designed, and we've had absolutely not a jot of problems with it ever since.
It seems to be fixed. The team have chosen Andrew Stroud to ride at Daytona. He signs off the handling.
It's actually very stable because the chassis is extremely rigid, so it doesn't wobble or weave. It's extremely powerful. It's got a lot of torque. It's very good out of corners.
It may be good out of corners, but first it must meet the deadline.
What have we got? I think 3 weeks to the day that this bike has to leave for Daytona, and we still haven't even tried the new engine, let alone built the bike. So things are a bit behind schedule, put it mildly.
If this didn't already seem like a good time to quit, then when the new engine starts misfiring on the dyno, it certainly could. But that would mean giving up, something that's never been part of John's plan. It would seem as though the hoped-for horsepower has arrived. Despite all the emphasis on slipperier shapes and high-tech front ends, John has increasingly become convinced that once again it will come down to good old-fashioned grunt.
If we get the same increase in horsepower as we predicted with the flow bench, we're going to go from 174 mile an hour to 181 mile an hour. That's with the same drag coefficient.
And now it's just a small matter of putting it all together. A job that seems so big, there's no point in panicking. months ago, John Britten was alone in his garage, forming the first pieces of soft wire into the shape of his dream bike. Now, after countless nights without proper sleep and endless weekends of hard, dreary work for John and the whole team, it's over. The bike is completed, and with only a nail-biting 3 days to spare, it's simply stunning. John calls it a kinetic sculpture. Murray still prefers dominatrix. The end result is a purebred racing machine, which not only looks stunning, but is technologically superior to anything else on the international racing circuit. Whilst the specifications undoubtedly push the envelope, the custom-designed onboard computer simply blows away all existing information and control systems. Now, the only question left unanswered is simply, will it all work?
The building of the bike is in some ways the least expensive part and possibly the most interesting part of it. The fact that we actually have to turn up at a racetrack on the other side of the world on time and meet all the pressures of the race and all the travel costs, they're tremendous financial burdens. But I suppose unless you're prepared to go through with pitting it against, you know, the racing world, well then you've really proved nothing.
If Daytona at night was just a little different, daytime at the track soon confirms that they're a long way from home.
I found it really interesting, quite an eye-opener, this bike week there. The people around, and just incredible amount of motorbikes and colourful, interesting people riding motorbikes in shapes and sizes I never even dreamed of. It's just wonderful.
This is it. The hype, glamour, expectation and excitement of international motorcycle racing. Teams with massive support infrastructures and financial investment. That's the reality. And the bottom line is, it's now make or break time for both John and the team. They may be a small team arriving without the obligatory transporter. Still, it seems nobody, media or fans, have forgotten that John's last bike ran second to world champion Doug Poland.
Yes, thank you very much.
When did you complete?
Last week. It's brand new, eh? Experimental.
Yeah, I'm glad it at least looks like a Harley. If you just paint the thing orange and black, it'd make it really sell. It's certainly gonna go. Lovely day. Gotta go.
Yeah, well, this is the first totally ducted cooling system I've seen.
Yeah. That's what I've said.
Yeah, it works perfectly. With no experimentation at all, just bang on there.
And, I mean, check the swinging on it. I mean, this thing is so exotic. It's got to be the ultimate new, it's got to be the idea, huh?
And then there's mini maps here for temperature, temperature of the day and stuff like that, and they adjust this main map. It gives
all temperatures and everything also?
Yeah, the whole lot. Water temperatures, air temperatures, inlet air temperatures, oxygen and exhaust. It's got a full history.
On his first evening, Andrew enjoyed jogging around the track. Now it's time to try it at speed. For the whole team, their return to Daytona seems like a fairy tale. Certainly just getting back was a fantastic achievement. Now as Andrew begins to circulate at speed, the hard work against impossible odds seems to be over. But racing seldom works that way. Andrew has always known that Daytona is an exceptionally hard track to learn. But before he's had his chance, he's dealt a devastating blow when the bike begins to misfire.
How's it going? It sounded awful going past here. There's fuel coming out of that. Fuel? The liquid, yeah. All that fuel, that's fuel. Oh. That's water.
Buzz, water and fuel.
With the race only 24 hours away, major problems with the engine are the last thing the guys need. Worse still, Andrew has to qualify during timed practice. If he doesn't, then all their efforts end right now.
Keep filling up with water, maybe we can just get out and qualify and then take the thing apart.
It seems hopeless, but there's nothing else they can do. Just refill the radiator and pray that the engine holds together long enough for Andrew to qualify. The odds are against them, but it's their only chance. It's a long way around Daytona, particularly with a sick motor that's been given a rough fix. It only lasts for 2 laps. By then, the motor's glowing hot, and Andrew can only switch off and coast to a stop. He's qualified just, but the bike, new motor or not, is broken.
Hello, Chris, it's John Britten speaking. Got a problem with the motorbike, and so we've got to take it apart.
A local mechanics training centre is prepared to welcome them, but they still have to strip the bike, find and fix the problem. Given time, it would be easy, but it's late, and with only a few hours to the race start, it may be impossible.
Yeah, well, I always say that it's character building. That's why it just hasn't worked with me. Yeah, well, they're all tests of your stickability, you know, when something goes wrong, like the sleeve of the, the guts of the engine cracking. You know, the night before the race, it seemed like an impossible job to fix up, and that was a challenge.
New Zealanders, they look at the bike and say, oh, sure, that's good, yeah, it's all right, great. But people overseas are just incredible. They're just absolutely astounded that one man has made this bike, one man plus friends.
I'm impressed.
Oh, words do not describe that bike. That is awesome. I'm running out of film.
That is the most awesome motorcycle here in Daytona. Absolutely.
Definitely.
A mechanic's dream, that's what it is.
Well, the mechanic's dream has a hairline crack to its cylinder sleeve. Straightforward to replace if you have a replacement. Not so easy if you're a long way from home and you don't.
We got a dilemma here. We've got a race team here from New Zealand with a one-off motorcycle. Okay? Totally hand-built. They cracked the cylinder line. The race team from out of the country with a one-off machine, they cracked the cylinder sleeve. We're trying to find some blanks. We have got a race team in here from New Zealand that has cracked the cylinder sleeve in a one-off motorcycle. Okay? They need to make a new sleeve. Nothing like that? No blank or anything?
Trying to find something like this at this time of day in Daytona is rough.
Is there a dealer in Orlando or Jacksonville? They've got a hand-built one-off motorcycle. They cracked the cylinder sleeve and they're racing tomorrow. Anybody in Daytona that might? All right. Okay, guy.
They've given it their best shot. Nevertheless, a replacement part can't be found. They're dog-tired and dispirited, but giving up is never even discussed.
Just be patient with
in
the
a
plane.
disaster situation
There's
like
a nice
that.
soft tip on that gas cylinder over there, you know just be patient with it.
It's good not to panic, but just be resourceful and just say, well, we're going to do our, we're just going to do 100% effort to try and fix it and get through.
It's a good theory, but no one actually knows how to braze a cylinder sleeve. Still, there's nothing to lose, and even with only a minimal chance of success, it's worth a try.
Would you do any more? Yeah. How would you just let it cool down now, or what did you do? No use doing this all night, is there?
As if their situation isn't already bizarre enough, the centre has been taken over for an annual mechanics banquet, and they're suddenly sharing top billing.
No, not a Ducati. It's a Britten motor, correct?
I mean, he machined the block, he designed everything, is my understanding. Right, and he's England, you fellas are from England. New Zealand, very good.
See you over there. These are all your friends, are they? God, you're a social person.
The party's over. There's still enough optimism for Andrew to be sent off to bed early. The rest get down to the familiar routine of working through the night.
That particular day, I think we, well, how long it was, I think Harry clocked it up. It was 47 hours we worked without a stop, or something like that. And we wheeled the bike out to the racetrack at 7:30 in the morning, and it was all fixed.
Handcrafted in New Zealand, it's making its return to Daytona. It's a brand new motorcycle for 1992. The bike is approximately 3 weeks old. The crew's been working on it all night.
Don't take any risks until, because you get the same speed anyways. You can draft by it on the last lap, okay? From the chicane, be right up his arse, and don't be in front, because those guys will be playing the same game with us tomorrow. But there again, just follow. You know, get a good start, get yourself in position, get a lap down, and then just cruise by, just follow them. If they can go that fast, you can go that fast. If they can go into the corner that hard, you can go into the corner that hard. Just don't get sucked in. If they crash, you don't want to be crashing. Okay?
He had a poor qualifying position because of his slow practices. So we were back in the grid in 12th position. And we weren't very optimistic about our chances of doing well.
Andrew is uncertain of the track, and he's astride a bike that's had minimal testing and suffered what should have been terminal engine failure less than 24 hours ago. Ex-Britten rider Gary Goodfellow has coached him to sit behind the leading bunch and hope to take advantage of the Britton's power in a final dash to the line. It's easy to say, harder to do. But right from the start, the Britten ignites off the line like a rocket ship, and within seconds, they're back in business.
He just cut through the field very quickly. He was soon in second or third position. I'm talking about only 300 or 400 metres from the start line.
For a year, they've kept a dream alive and confidently come halfway around the world to win. Yet just the same, no one can quite believe it as John's homemade bike runs for lap after lap with the leading factory Ducati.
Did you see that? Woo, woo! Yes, Daddy. We're running second, see on the bank, Sammy. Way around on the top, Kirsty. You watch us catch up here. You watch, we've got more power here, you watch.
There's no stopping the bike, and in a move more reminiscent of Disneyland than Daytona, Andrew pulls a wheelie alongside Picot's leading Ducati.
It was fantastic to see it, blasting along around the front and just doing an enormous wheelie along the side, the bike, the leading bike, and having enough power to sort of plough on past. That was really amazing.
As you're going along at that speed and seeing some bike coming by you with the front wheel in the air.
Everyone, even the Ducati fans, seem to be willing the Britten to win. Still, it's not over yet.
Dangerous stuff. They might stop the race. Hey, if it's over eight laps, I think they can get
Daytona's steep banking is dangerous at any time. In the wet for big bikes, it's suicidal. Officials stop the race. If it dries out, they'll restart. But for John and the team, their relation is such that it almost doesn't matter.
Hey, that's just unbelievably good riding, man. Just class, really classy. Now, I've never had so much fun in my life. Magnificent riding, eh? Classy. Classy. Yeah, well, because of the slow practice times, he surprised everyone. He surprised us, he surprised the whole media, he surprised the other riders. And it was a fantastic entry for the bike into the, into the race world.
It's amazing. I thought on the first lap the thing would come around back somewhere and it would be another disappointment, like the ones earlier in the week. So it was incredible.
How many laps have you had here the whole week? I've only had about 20, 25 laps. Yeah.
It doesn't seem to matter who will win. The press have already decided on the story, and the race isn't even over.
All of a sudden, you're up at the front of the pack. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, it feels great. I'm just so pleased because they sort of vindicated my faith in the design.
Yeah. You had the bike about as apart as a motorcycle can be yesterday, late last night. Do you think about the problems you had? Do you worry about the motor at all?
If they were going to, now would be a good time. The summer rain shower is clearing.
We need it. Half a nice bike.
We've got extra large and large sweatshirts.
For the restart, the Britten is up on the front of the grid and goes head-to-head with Pascal Picot's red Ducati. The dream of victory is so close to reality.
He really gets them on the infield here. Look at that. All that. It's losing speed. Something's gone wrong.
With the finish in sight, the dream is horribly turning to a nightmare. The Britten is losing time and position. There's nothing they can do but watch.
I just saw him slowly pull out of the race, and he seemed to be doing so well. And there was no sign of anything going wrong with the bike. And we were quite mystified.
Oh, it was so terrible when it didn't come around again. It was so terrible. The absolute excitement of the bike, toying with the leading bikes and having the power to just blast them away, and then not coming around again. It was just too much, devastating.
Bobby Bossardet, the machine from Daytona Beach Florida here from Robinson Harley Davidson, running in the 11th place position, and then it's Joe Watanabe, number 15 on one of the Honda Hawks, the former in California.
Huh? Finally broke. Yeah. So many years, eh?
So close.
I know.
What happened?
It broke down, Sammy.
With the jury rig that they had to do to make the cylinder hold water last evening, the thing was incredibly fast. As you heard from Robert Stroud, it was down on horsepower for what it was yesterday, but oh boy, I know John Britton's going to head back to New Zealand and build another rocket ship for next year.
Sorry, Andrew. Fucking
After so much effort, so much drama, the Britten's race has been ended by a simple flat battery. And the cause of it? A faulty rectifier. Ironically, one of the bike's few non-Britten made components.
Thanks. Thanks very much. Great. Great support.
For many, defeat at Daytona would have been the finish. But for someone of John's grit and determination, it was only the beginning. Within 6 months, the bike had gone on to race and arouse interest all over the world. From a heady first success at Laguna Seca to a fantastic win at Assen, and then on to the history and mystique of Monza.
You're going the right way? Yep. Yeah, there we go. Got the rubber on the track, yeah? Mamma mia. One of these Italians.
Perhaps as you'd expect, no one has displayed more enthusiasm or passion for the bike than the Italian fans. One of them, Roberto Crepaldi, with his team CRS, was prepared to supply more than just enthusiasm, and he has become the first owner of a Britten bike.
So I've seen on many magazines what he's doing with his new bike, and when I met him the first time in Monza for a race, I told him, you are doing exactly what I would like to do, but I'm not an engineer. My instruction is commercial, and I would like to do something for helping you. In which way, I don't know, but I'm here for this. So ask me what I can do for you, and I would like to follow.
Racing in Europe may be far from home, but you still bump into New Zealand mechanics working for the superstars. And for the Britten crew, or at least the executive side of it, the work is always tiring.
Chris! I'm going to get you for that. You're going to pay for that run.
Still, there are worse places to sleep than Pirovano's luxurious workshop in Monza. Besides, you never know who else will be visiting.
It's beautiful, it's nice. It's really nice. It's a nice piece. It's real nice. It's pretty. A lot of thought's gone into building it. John, he's got some pretty strange ideas, but he seems to make them work. It's good to see it. Good to see it on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's creative, 100%. More than practical or businessman, 100%. He do, I think, for sure. This is my feeling from the first time I met him. This kind of thing and every kind of thing he does is just for his pleasure, 100%. This I really believe. And this is the reason because I would like to have a Britten for myself because I like the person, and this is just something come from him. Yes, the cut is very interesting, but apart the engine, the rest of the bike is nothing special. It's just a normal bike without any new concept. This is the reason. Britten is a complete new concept.
It's a concept that just seems to keep attracting attention from the specialist motorcycle press. So after rebuilding in Pirovano's suburban workshop, there's a hurried test start in rural Europe, somewhere where the Britten's decibel level won't upset the neighbours. And then it's off to the Belgian circuit of Zolder, a track that comes complete with hotels, and by chance and good fortune, a charming lady who's celebrating her birthday in style. Zolder is the circuit where the bike will be both test-ridden and photographed for a variety of magazines. Included in this group is well-known international motorcycling journalist and rider Alan Cathcart.
I don't think I can race a Ducati again.
Good street bike, Helen.
It's fast. But I tell you, it's got so much power all through the rev range, you absolutely must not slow gears.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very hard to persuade yourself not to change down going into a slow turn, but you mustn't. Because if you do, first of all, you lock the back wheel.
Yeah, that's right. It's too much,
which I've done several times. And secondly, you don't get such a good drive. It's actually quite unstable. If you go into a turn in too low a gear, never mind locking the wheel, but then coming out again, it's not at all nice.
No. Yeah.
It's much better to let it drive out.
It is.
It certainly likes pulling wheelies. I've done one in third gear so far. I'm working on fourth. Oh, amazing.
Great.
Well, have fun. It's an easy bike to ride in the sense that it's got a very wide power delivery, but to get really top performance out of your time on the track, you have to ride it like a Grand Prix bike, and that means standing it on the back wheel, rear wheel steering it around turns. You've got to accept the fact that you're going to slide the back wheel. You're going into turns on the brakes. You're trying very hard to turn it quickly from side to side in a turn, to get the power on early, using the power to brake the rear end out of a turn and to maximize acceleration. Now, this is not the way that you ride a superbike, for example. It's not the way you ride a Ducati superbike.
Right.
And having ridden all the leading superbike contenders in the world today, in the World Superbike Championship, I can say that the Britten is the closest one to a Grand Prix bike out of all of them. There are so many things about the Britten that make it unique, and these come from John Britton's capacity for original thought. And I have to say that because I travel around the world, I'm fortunate enough to speak to enthusiasts, to magazine readers, to magazine editors in many, many different countries, I can say that the Britten is without doubt the most widely admired motorcycle in the world today. There are people all over the world who admire the Britten, who would frankly never even have heard of New Zealand if it wasn't for the Britten motorcycle. And this is almost the ultimate irony. To those of us who live in the mainstream of motorcycling, which is what we like to think Europe as being today, all right, Japan and Europe, it's incredibly ironic that really the most sophisticated, most technically advanced motorcycle in the world today is built in the South Island of New Zealand, which is about as far away from motorcycle mankind as you can possibly go.
John is not the only innovator that New Zealand has produced. Another, Gil Simpson of Cardinal Network, has agreed to sponsor the Britten. The really good news? There's money for testing.
Any innovation really starts out by playing. I mean, the Wright brothers were bike mechanics. They built an aeroplane. John Britton's bike competes internationally. Our software competes internationally. And we need the community at large to understand these are world-class products. And John Britton's bike manifests that so dramatically. You've only got to see it performing against the best imported products in this country, and it's a superior machine. A world-class racing motorbike is not a significant item within the New Zealand economy. Within the global economy, that puts you on a footing with Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Italian manufacturers and so on.
With Cardinal come other sponsors, and that brings a move from the back garden to a real workshop, a limited production run, and a race program that can now afford more than one bike, and even the odd spare part. It's a rapid adjustment, and through it all, attention from both media and fans remains intense.
Yeah, well, it's pretty difficult to comprehend a lot of those sorts of aspects of it because I mean, I don't think any of us here see it as being anything special. It's something different. But, yeah, I read a lot of the stuff with scepticism. We're all pretty much skeptics, but you read a lot of it and think, is that really us, sort of thing? You think it's something else.
It's a one-off bike and gets a lot of media attention. So there's always crowds of people around it.
I think I've had in some ways, the ultimate buzz can pass you right by if you're not careful, because you start taking it for granted. You know, when I see it doing something particularly good at the racetrack, like passing a very, very fast factory bike with one of the top world riders on it, I try and remind myself to appreciate it and really enjoy it. Well, I don't have to try very hard. I mean, it is very, very satisfying. You know, we haven't had a lot of victories in races because, well, you can drum off all sorts of excuses, and some fairly legitimate excuses too. But we've had a lot of small victories in amongst our efforts, you know, and they're all very little moments, special moments, lots of them.
With a second bike comes a second rider, Jason McEwen. His particular style of aggressive cut and thrust riding sees his Britten first past the checkered flag time after time.
It's a bit of a beast, very, very powerful. Very nice to throw around, nice and light. I've got it set up fairly well how I like a bike set up, turning nice and fast. It's good fun to ride, eh? Lots of power and lots of bottom end grunt. It's a good bike to ride. The power characteristics would be the biggest difference. The actual bike, it's the way we have it now. It reacts pretty much like any other superbike. It doesn't do anything terribly different than most bikes. It's just the appearance of it which makes people think that it might do. Braking's very good. The girder feels, I like the girder under brakes. It feels nice and steady. You can really get on the brakes really hard. And the bike being fairly light as well, it's good under brakes. They've got it set up so it turns very fast at the moment. That's why it seems now and again seems to be quite twitchy. So I've got it reasonably high in the back, and I've got the steering head angle as steep as it'll go. So it does tend to be a little bit twitchy because of that.
I think, yes, an engineer, of course, but especially a designer. In this way, I feel really, yes, designer, 100%. Because the engineer is easy, designer is more difficult to have a concept together with a shape. So he's a designer, 100%. With engineer capacity, yeah.
The engineering capacity has not always been put to use exclusively in Britten bikes. In November '93, a Britten engine was installed in fellow Kiwi John White's Streamliner, White Lightning, for an assault on the world land speed record. New Zealanders have always had a love of speed and speed records, and White Lightning continues the tradition of great names such as Burt Munro and Bob Burns. Built by Aucklander Ken McIntosh, White Lightning's sleek lines are aimed at sheer speed. If the Britten engine can take John White beyond 192 miles per hour, the record will be his. It's early morning on a country road just out of Christchurch. The cameras are there. Interest is high. The bid is on.
Who gets the one?
Managed to get the mishap?
Yeah, I did.
Offloaded and go in there,
Yeah, no, go on, huh?
Yeah.
It's just like that. We got the camber here. The camber here is something we have.
For the moment, camber may have beaten White Lightning. But with a speed week in place, the Britten team decide to bolt a streamlined fairing onto the bike and give John White a run at the world record, riding something a little more suited to the camber of a narrow country road.
A tough week. We started out with a bit of bad luck when we had some damage occurred to the streamliner, and John Britten came to the party and kindly offered me the use of a Britten motorcycle, which we developed slightly to have an attack at the world record.
It's a small boy's dream. A beautiful sunny morning with nothing to do but play with a motorbike and its computer, and all just to see how fast it will go. It seems that if you're intending to send your backside down the road at somewhere near 190 miles an hour, it may as well be comfortable.
Up at 186 mile an hour, back 187 mile per hour, over.
It's enough. It comfortably gives John the expected New Zealand record, and more surprisingly, eclipses the world flying mile record. Now, with just a short time left before the road must reopen, the streamlined cowling is hurriedly removed from the Britten, and rider Lauren Paul is sent out to try for a New Zealand standing start record. The results astonish everyone.
We want it back to the quarter now. We want it back to the quarter to do the return runs. We'll set up at the quarter mile mark. He has broken all 3 world records on his first attempt. Over.
I'm very happy that these records, the standing records, are broken now, and my trip was not without result. And now I'm happy. Go home for Christmas. We send the results over now. It is a very special bike, and it's an absolutely new bike. Nobody has built such a bike as he, with a 1000cc two-cylinder engine, so powerful. And I'm very impressed as an engineer.
I know how powerful the bike is, and I've with racing it on the circuits. I've never raced against another bike which has been faster. So, no, it's not really all that surprising. It's a great machine. It's a great day.
Great days and champagne are beginning to figure frequently for the Britten.
We did it, Harry. It was pretty hard. Robert was pushing me pretty hard. But yeah, no, the pressure was there. It was bloody hard work. But yeah, no, we done it, mate. We done it. Brilliant. New Zealand Championship. First time a New Zealand made bikes won a New Zealand Championship. Unreal.
Unreal as well was the sight of Joey Dunlop on the Britten. He seemed pleased enough.
Yeah. That's not too bad now. I'm surprised. Slight. Should be the 250. You could even throw it about 2 quite. Yeah. The handling, you enjoy the handling? Oh, it's dead on, yeah. Plenty of power low down. Too many wheelies. Too many wheelies. Wheelies anywhere. Oh, I wouldn't say that. But, no, it's good. I enjoy it. It's hard. I rode Hondas like all my life. Like this last 13 years. No, that's the first time I ever got a chance to run nothing else.
For most of those years, Joey's name has been synonymous with the Isle of Man, a circuit that holds a tantalising fascination for both John and Roberto, along with their respective teams.
I went to New Zealand and we started talking. I asked for one bike. He said yes. We organized a small production of maybe 10 pieces. You can have one. So I would like to do something more, and we start to have some kind of relationship in Europe. I buy a bus that is useful for everybody when the bike and the team is in Europe for racing. They come back another time in 1993 for Monza for the Ironman. So with the bus and all together we went to the races. We start to have a certain way of friendship. And at the end, the first bike has arrived. So we are here in the Ironman racing with 3 Britons. 1 is mine and 2 is by John. It's a big pleasure.
It's happened now several times over the years, and you know, I really have been just about, it's pushed me to the limit really, but you've just got to pull yourself together and be positive. I mean, to anybody who isn't involved in racing, they just think it's crazy, but it's all part and parcel of racing. I mean, everybody knows the danger that's here. I suppose to a lot of the spectators, that's half the attraction really. Oh God, yeah, there's nothing like it, is there? But I do love the Isle of Man. I think it's a super place. I'm very fond of the island. But it's a place I love to hate.
Riders Nick Jeffries and Mark Farmer have been chosen to spearhead the Britten effort on the island. The bikes are given a shakedown at a local airfield.
You sort of get used to those sort of speeds. It's quite difficult to explain. Yeah, actually the first practice session you do here, usually, wow, it opens your eyes. It feels very fast, but once the week goes on, you just get used to the speeds and get to know the course of that bit better. and you get, you know, more confident with the bike and with yourself and with the circuit, and it all works in a nice flow. It's quite good. The circuit's just unbelievable. It's like got so many different aspects to it, different flows, different corners, different bumps in the road, and it's quite nice really. It's actually quite nice to see on race day all the people all around the circuit. Not that you should be looking at them, like, but you know, we usually get time to have a quick glimpse at them. It's really amazing, really.
I think people don't realise how it really does affect them. The Isle of Man is so different. It gets them charged up to such a degree. It really is special compared to any other race circuit. It really is unique. I mean, it's such a long circuit. They come in after one lap, it's 37 miles. I mean, a short circuit might be 2 or 3 miles. So there's no comparison, really. And the level of concentration they need, I mean, it's just incredible. I don't know how they do it. It's such a long, and it's so concentrated. In 6 laps at that 37 miles, that's 200 and odd miles, travelling at those speeds. It's no wonder that when they come in, you don't feel as if they're with you, because of course the adrenaline that's flowing through their body must be amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Wow, Bray Hill is probably one of the most exciting parts of the TT course. It's like, on a good Holland machine, it's flat out, possibly doing 180 mile an hour at the bottom of it. And it's just the G-forces on it, it's pretty horrific. You can't really lift your head, you just have to hold on tight, grit your teeth, sometimes close your eyes. Yeah, if you get your line wrong, you have to close the throttle, so the object is to get your line perfect and just keep it flat and just grip onto the tank and just pray to get over the jump on the next side. Not pray like, but you know, the idea is to be stable and take it pretty smooth like, but the idea is to get down flat out. Top of Bray Hill is probably the worst bit. There's got a few bumps and traffic lights, which sort of sets the bike off if it's not handling too well. And towards the end, going down the hill has got a bit of a tank slap going on maybe. But the idea is just ride through that, keep it pinned, and it's quite a sensation. That's one of the best parts of the circuit that I like, because probably you ain't got much control of the bike yourself, like, but you just pray and hope. It's an interesting motorcycle. Obviously, there's a lot of different things to it compared to other machines. The horsepower and it's quite phenomenal, especially the bottom end. Torque, low down to mid-range stuff is very, very rapid. It's a bit of a job to keep the front wheel down, but we can overcome that by just short shifting it, which seems to work pretty well. And it's quite unique, really. It's just a really nice bit of engineering. At the moment we're trying to sort a few things out and get it suitable the way that I think it should be. I'm quite looking forward to tonight's practice.
Within a few hours, Mark is dead, tragically killed in a practice accident. He is the 67th rider killed at the TT in the last 20 years.
Strange story. This is a memorial of the closest friend of Nick Jeffries, death in 1985 here. Take a picture there.
Incredible.
Incredible. And yesterday we come here with Nick Jeffries. I didn't know about this. So we walk around the wall and he saw this for the first time. He starts crying, you know, because I've never seen before. Crazy. Was the closest friend of Dick Jeffries. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's been very, very difficult. But Nick Jeffries has been here for, this is his 20th year riding here, and he's seen a lot of friends get killed here, and he knows how to handle it psychologically, and he's been tremendous for our team, just to helping us through an experience we've never had and hopefully we'll never have again.
What sort of effect did it have on the team?
Oh, it's totally devastating. Feeling of tremendous responsibility, but sleepless night. But today we were allowed into the police headquarters to check the motorbike, and much to our relief, we're very confident that it had nothing to do with the cause of the accident. And really, if you're in or out, and it's like a dangerous mountain for mountaineers. It's one that some people want to do and some people don't, and everyone here wants to do it. So you have to accept the rider's decisions.
I find it's hard to accept, but of course you've got to put on you've got to go ahead. You're here for a reason, and you've got to put it behind you. It's hard being a rider's wife and supporting it.
Over 19 years of racing in the Isle of Man, I mean, it's not the first time it has happened to me that I've lost a close friend. I've never lost a teammate before. It's particularly tough in this instance with the Britten team and Roberto Capal. They realistically here in force for the first time. I think it was very, very difficult for them. And I just decided that the best thing would, otherwise I think the whole thing would have fallen apart, was to take a positive attitude and make sure that we got out and kept the flag flying.
Keeping the flag flying has brought John a long way from his garage in Christchurch. It's been a roller coaster ride, right from those early days. The wireframe model, the testing, to the trials, the tribulations and triumphs of the racetrack. But through it all, John has been driven by a dream. His dream to construct a world-beating race bike. It was a backyard project that had found realisation on the racetracks of Europe, the USA and Australasia. And a Kiwi had at once captured the imagination of both fans and the media worldwide. While international manufacturers could call on resources totaling millions of dollars, John Britten had nothing but his vision of the future. The Dream Bike has achieved success after success, a long way from the days when Britten could offer his team nothing more than a few words of encouragement and a free cup of coffee.
So I like to call it a Klingon warship.
Program right here. Program.
Hi there, we're here in Italy. That's right.
But eventually, inevitably, his curiously unique Kiwi style has paid off. It will surely continue to do so, Because for John Britten, the dream is not yet over.